everybody, and welcome back to Crowley House Flower Farm. I'm so glad you could join me. Today is just raining, pouring out. We've got flooding, and I've just started to decorate a little bit more for Christmas. We're almost a little less than a week out. Yeah. But, you know, with farm life and as much greenery that we do and wreaths and that kind of thing, I just want to be able to enjoy the moment and have some fun with it. I've got one last order to do today, and I thought how fun it would be to have you tag along with me as I put it together. So what I'm doing is a little arrangement for somebody's table, Christmas table, and then I'm also doing a little garland, and I'm going to show you how to do both of those today. And it should be kind of cozy. I'm tucked back into the studio. We've got a plethora of greens that are just left over and cut. I'm going to run to the greenhouse and cut, I think, a little Dusty Miller. The vase that I'm using is a kind of a black kind of pottery type vase, really simple and clean lined. She's got a more modern home, but so I'm kind of envisioning this thing that is kind of a foraged arrangement with some of the greeneries that we have here. We've got some ilex berries, so we'll pop some of the red in, and I've got some roses and things like that that were from the market. We bought them in from just some of the local farms, and then California as well still has some producing, so they're still local flowers. But I hope you enjoy this video. I thought to pull just a little bit of scented geranium. Oh, you can hear that rain. It's so beautiful, and it has that really nice fresh smell this time of year. I think that would be kind of fun to add in, and then maybe just a little bit of Dusty Miller. Okay, so I'm back in the studio, and I've got my gatherings from the cooler and from the greenhouse. It is really wet out there. There's just a ton of flooding, so I'm glad I'm drying here. I got a little heater going. Anyways, I've got some fantastic roses. These were grown locally by Peter Court Roses. They have that beautiful smell of a garden rose, so I'm excited to use those and bring them into the house. And then I've just chosen just a few carnations, kind of a creamy color, and then also this red color. It's kind of a Bordeaux burgundy. And this is my vase. I'm just going to turn this around and show you a little bit here. It looks like a big mess, actually. I should probably clean it up. So I went and got the scented geranium from the greenhouse. This I love. It's just got that fresh, it almost, this is like a kind of a lemony smell to it, and I thought that would be kind of fun. And then I just got a little bit of Dusty Miller. This is just kind of a bright spot in the bouquet that I thought would be kind of fun as well. And partly because we're going to be using some the blue ice cypress, and then I've got some Deodar cedar as well. Yeah, Deodar cedar, and then I was going to put some of the Deodar cones in at the very end. I also have a little bit of ivy that I foraged, and then just some cedar and some pine, and just a mixture of textures and that kind of thing in the arrangement. But I hope you enjoy this. Here we go. So I went ahead and greened up the arrangement. I just got some of that deodar cedar. I've got some of the ivy. This is some birch cattails. I got that lovely scented geranium in there. And then I'm just gonna keep working on flowers. I think I'm gonna pop in this Dusty Miller last. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm just gonna give you another look at what I'm doing up close here. So I added in just the blue. It's just a light blue ice cypress, and then some beautiful kind of airy white flower, and then against it kind of has that, picks up that brown in the white flower, like the very tip, and then accenting it with the brown from the cattails from the birch, which I love. So now I'm going to start in with our flowers and foliages. Okay, so I just finished putting all my fillers in, got all my textures, and I am a crazy person for all the textures. I love it, love it, love it in my bouquets. And I also was keeping in mind what I'm gonna do for the garland. So I'm gonna start throwing in some flowers and see how it turns out. Look at that amazing rose. Isn't that just gorgeous? I think that almost needs front and center here. I'm just taking the carnations and kind of fluffing them out a little bit just to get them unfurled. They were pretty tight when we got them, which is great because it's going to make the arrangement last a long time. So I have a little chicken wire down in the base, almost acting like a frog. It's just an eco-friendly way to do a floral arrangement. A lot of people use like foam or something like that, and we've kind of gone away from that. But I love using the chicken wire because it kind of keeps your stems in line of where you want them. It also can give you a little grief when you want your stem to go a certain way and your arrangement starts to get a little bit full. So you got to do a little tricky and working with it and just kind of playing with the design. I decided to grab one more of these beautiful roses just to tuck on the back side, because I think this is going into a table arrangement on a dining table. So you kind of want to make sure that 360 it looks good. I'm just going to take my Dusty Miller and tuck it in around the bottom. This is a good way you can cover up your tape, you know, that's showing, or, you know, any holes. I always kind of look down here at the bottom. Show and the arrangement a whirl, and hope you like it. And we'll be on to the next, which is the garland. Okay, so I'm going to start on the garland. This is going to be a 6-foot garland that I'm making. And I'm just going to start with my piles of products. So it's almost like I'm doing a recipe. I think I'm going to use a little bit of arborvitae, a little bit of cedar, some noble, some blue ice, cypress, and then I'm going to use a little bit of ivy and some of that birch cattail, because I really liked that little bit of brown, and it's just kind of fun to add in some interesting details. This is going to go on a fireplace mantle, so I want it very, very fresh. Oh, and I'm going to use some pine. So I'm going to start with my piles, and then I'm going to show you how I do this. Got all the piles cut. Now I'm going to start with some wire, which is back here. This is a 22 gauge wire, which is just floral wire that you can get at the craft store, that kind of thing. And so I'm going to start just using this, and I'll show you exactly what to do. We're going to grab just a little bit of a bundle. Again, we're going to be working in kind of like a pattern, so groupings of the same product every time, so that we get that consistent full look to the garland. So I'm working on a 6-foot table, which is just like one of those plastic fold-out tables that you can use for, you know, events and that kind of thing, that you have extra guests coming for dinner or what have you, that you need a folding table. So this is actually 6 foot, so that gives me a good idea of how long I need to go. So here we go. It is just still just pouring out sides, so hopefully this video turns out okay. So this is my beginning. I'm just going to start by grouping together a few of my choices. I just got a little bit of arborvitae, which is kind of a full piece, and then I'm starting with a piece of pine that kind of has a nice curve to it because that's going to be the end part that's going to sit on the mantle. And then I have a little bit of the blue ice, and I'm going to start with that as my first pattern. Then I'm going to take my wire and I'm going to go around and almost like a bread tie, squinch this pretty tight and go ahead and get it wired on so it's just kind of there. And then I'm just going to wrap around for security reasons, pull a little bit towards me, kind of that tummy length. And then I'm going to set that down on the table and we're just going to keep working. So my next bunch I want to do, I think I'm going to add in just a little bit of this beautiful rhodesidia, we call it. This is just some ivy, and then I'm going to do a little bit of noble as well. So in keeping in mind that I might do like 3 pieces of noble, a piece of ivy, and kind of go from there. So, and then I'm going to probably repeat that every single time. So then I'm going to lay it on top just like this. And then we're just going to keep wrapping the twine around like that. Ever so often, I'm going to go ahead and add in just a little bit of those cattails to just kind of give that whimsy feel. So I'm almost done, and I've learned a few tricks along the way. I don't do these very often. My daughter normally does. And so what I found is that if you use a longer piece, like say a cedar or something like that that's a little bit longer, that you kind of twine in along the way, I'll show you here. Makes it a lot easier than to put your bundles against that, and then that just kind of twines along. So here you go. So we have some longer pieces here, and what I've been using is kind of this cedar, which will look really pretty hanging off the mantle. But I kind of start it down a little bit like that so that it has a little bit of oomph to it, I guess. Here, let me show you. So then I'm going to twine to this. So I've got my little bundle here. And I'm going to just lay it right on top there. And then, so see how I have all of this long stuff keep going. And I'm just gonna keep wiring along. And it's just round and round, and I pull pretty tight against me. And I'm almost to the end, so I don't want to go too much further. I think I need a little bit of this guy in here and some more of these cattails. Actually, this is a nice piece here. So I'm just kind of grabbing everything like that pretty tight. Here's my wire. I think I'm going to end it right here with this one here. So I'm just going to pull up, and I'm going to give a generous cut because it's always easier than not to give yourself enough. I'm going to go around a couple more times, and we're just going to, see that? Don't fall. We're just going to kind of thread it through underneath and pull. It's almost like you're sewing. I'm just catching underneath the wire. And of course it's green wire. And so it doesn't always show. Okay, so there's my end. I'm just going to tidy that up a little bit. I never like how that looks very well, so a lot of times I'll go in with something a little bit fluffy and kind of doctor it up just a tiny bit. And this is a little tricky to do. Because your wire is pretty tight. Just making that a little fuller. Okay, there we go. We have a beautiful mantle garland. Let me show you here. So we have a beautiful mantle garland that is a little over 6 foot. Looks like I got a little carried away, but can you imagine that just on the mantle with some beautiful, you know, even like battery operated candles that what have you. But yeah, I think it turned out well. And I'm cold, so I'm gonna head in. I'm cold and I'm gonna head in and get this, get changed and get it delivered. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video on how to make a garland and also a Christmas bouquet to place on the table, and just using what you have around the house. Obviously, I had some roses that were that we had bought in, but you could always go down to the grocery store and buy some local roses or what have you. You wouldn't even have to use flowers if you didn't want to. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, much success in all you do and grow, and we will be seeing you in the garden soon.